This is really a fascinating Gemara because not in general, we are not a proselytizing religion, right? Remember again, we're actually, the ger shows up, the Gentile shows up, wants to convert. The first thing we tell them when they enter into the Beis Din is, what's the matter with you, right? Get out of here. You could be a righteous Gentile. The Jews have not cornered the market on God. You could be a righteous Gentile and all you need is 7 mitzvahs. You can have a lich to Gan Eden. You can have a beautiful life. Beautiful afterlife. You don't need to do this. We're not a proselytizing religion. So I say, so what does this mean when the Gemara says Kadosh Baruch Hu only exiled us in order to go ahead and bring Gerim? So Rabbi Yitzchak Berdichev has a beautiful insight into this very quickly. And the Rebbe says like this. He says, when Kadosh Baruch Hu created the world, there are nitzotzos, there are sparks of holiness everywhere. Everywhere. But what ends up happening over time is those sparks become obscured, become covered over by what's called klipos, shells. And the job of the Jew is to remove the klipos, to remove the shells or the coverings, and to expose the nitzotzos hakidusha, to expose the sparks of holiness. So wherever a Jew goes somewhere and does a davar shebekdusha, does something holy, by definition what he does is he's megala the nitzotzos. He exposes the sparks in that place. So that's why you ever have a situation like this where you're traveling somewhere, where let's say again, there's no Jewish infrastructure, and you daven there. And sometimes you have like the most meaningful and beautiful davening, and it's a little bit counterintuitive because you say to yourself, how come I don't daven like this when I'm home in shul? Right? How come when I have all the trappings of Jewish infrastructure, I don't daven like this, and here I'm in the middle of nowhere, maybe I'm in nature, I have such a beautiful and uplifting davening. So on a deeper Ruchni level, that's because very often it's possible that maybe you're the first person to daven in this place. And maybe it's never happened that a Jew has set foot in this place. So if you're davening a shachris, a mincha, a ma'ariv, saying a bracha in a place that never had spiritual activity occur in it, what you are feeling is the gilui hanitzotzos. What you've done is you've revealed the hidden sparks that are in that place. And that's what your neshama is feeling. That's that feeling of elation. So when the Gemara says that Kadosh Baruch Hu exiled us only to find Gerim, remember, it doesn't mean we're spread all over the place to proselytize people. That's not our way. That's not our belief. What's the idea of the ger? The idea of the ger is the ger. Ultimately, every ger, every person who converts, is a neshama who was pledged at Har Sinai. There's a nitzutz, there's a spark that's there, and the spark is often covered. So we are spread throughout the galus in order ultimately, again, to be megala the nitzotzos, to uncover the sparks and to elevate them. This is why I believe Yitzchak Berdichev says, when does Mashiach come? When does Mashiach come? Mashiach comes when we're megala the nitzotzos. It's very interesting. He says we have a job. We have a job in galus. Our job, it's not just the pshat that we're here and we're waiting. You know, in Judaism, we have to really get back to that. But you know, in Yiddishkeit, I just want to point out, we don't believe in passivity. So it's not like we're just sitting here waiting for Mashiach. There's a job to be done. And the job is to be megala the nitzotzos. There are pockets of kedusha in every single place where we are exiled. And when do we go home? When does Mashiach come? Mashiach comes when we have been megala the nitzotzos. When the job is done, that's when Geula comes. It's incredibly important because often what the Gemara is saying is we look at diaspora as like a punishment, and therefore we're passive. We've been punished. We've been exiled, and now we have to wait to be brought home. We don't wait. First of all, we don't have to wait to be brought home. We can go home now if we want to. That's Aleph. And Beis is we're not sitting around waiting. There's work to be done as we wait for the Geula. So the Gemara goes on.